So this is For Your Health, a show brought to you by Green Peak Alliance, which is a network that fosters healthy communities in southeastern Vermont. I'm Elizabeth Kelsey. I'm here today with Courtney McKaig, who's the family wellness coach and behavior specialist at Manascutney's Hospital's Family Wellness Program. Courtney, you work with families and kids on emotional wellness, and that includes things such as eating meals together, exercise, making schedules that align with people's needs, and also things like playing a musical instrument. All these things promote emotional wellness. And now we have the coronavirus pandemic going on, and it's a stressful time for many families because schedules have been upended and kids can't play with their friends and parents are having to take on new roles. So we wanted to talk to you about what you're hearing and seeing from families right now.
Yeah, that this is really stressful. That all of a sudden there are expectations of families they've never had before. So there's just a lot of stress around trying to manage all the different roles and other stressors such as, unemployment, what that does to a family's finances. How do I get enough of the resources that I need to keep living? It can be very stressful for families right now. The idea that you're going to be a teacher while you're also trying to maybe work from home or trying to work towards trying to figure out how to continue to resource your family is really challenging. So I have a friend and mentor, Jennifer Aldrich, who shared with me, that a little saying about, that you're really trying to parent children through a crisis, and hopefully they'll learn something along the way. And that, we have to worry about well-being first. Yeah. So taking care of your family is your number one priority. And the teacher piece is important, but not as important as taking care of everyone's well-being in the family. Mm-hmm. So.
What are some strategies for coping in these unprecedented times and steps people can take even now, even if they're just small steps?
So so from the perspective of the program that is embedded here in Manascutney and also in the Woodstock Ottaquechee Health Center, which is based on something called the Vermont family-based approach. So we look at children's well-being and more as a family well-being, that children are a part of a family unit. And so we look at health from the family perspective. And this was based on work done up at UVM. And we have been using their paradigm to create a program here. And within that paradigm, we look at parental well-being first, or caregiver well-being. And that's of paramount importance, because if a parent is struggling to manage their stress, and that's one of the things happening, but even in our usual busy daily lives, managing our own well-being first, because we got to fill our own cup so that we have resources available to support and scaffold the well-being of our kids and our families. So so that means making sure you're trying to find spaces where you can do that, whether it's taking some time to just have a cup of tea or going outside for a quick walk. So you certainly can do these things with your kids, but if you have a partner or someone else in your home that can help you to take a break and fill your cup, do something that feels good to you, that, whether it's pick up a book and read for 15, 20 minutes, doing some yoga, having some time to listen to a podcast that you enjoy, just really making sure that you're managing your stress, because it's very contagious. And so having opportunities to manage that, and recognize also that calm and kindness are contagious. So I think that making sure parents are taking care of themselves then makes it an opportunity for them to be able to take care of their families.
Right. Very important for them to take care of themselves. And then from there, what are some other steps on coping?
Yeah, so I think having a simple daily routine is really important. It doesn't have to be timed, but just listing in, an order of how things happen every day, including kind of the simple things so that you can feel like, okay, I got that done, So having, breakfast, maybe a check-in time so that everybody can look at the schedule, having it visually, listed out, like this is how I think the flow and the rhythm of the day might go, and also recognizing that it might not go that way. So, what's nice about having a routine like that is it provides a certain amount of comfort and normalcy and stability for the family. It also really helps parents because then you can take that working memory of your mind trying to remember all the things you're supposed to be getting done that day, and it's put on the wall. So you're like, okay, this is kind of what I'm striving for. And you don't have to think so much about it. So it's, also showing your children how to be organized and using planning skills. Mm-hmm. Something that you're going to want them to develop as they progress through life as well. Yeah. So keeping it simple. I use graph paper. That's easier for me. And within those, within the schedule, there's also opportunities to teach other routines, because not only do you have this schedule, but within that schedule, you have perhaps the routine of getting yourself ready for some academic learning, routines of just helping around the house, cleaning, doing the dishes, collecting trash, laundry, and all of that, teaching those skills and breaking them down into even further into smaller lists of how do we do this? How do we get ready for bed? Brush teeth, jammies, book, talk about our day, and having it listed, again, takes a lot of the working memory piece so that your brain has more access to energy for thinking about other things. And it helps provide clarity for your child to say, this is how things go and this is the routine. So I really encourage routines. They bring a sense of comfort and normalcy and stability to families.
Right. And as part of that sense of comfort, what about managing emotions? Do you have strategies you can suggest for how we can manage our emotions during these stressful times?
Yes. So when I think about that, I think about kind of filling your child's cup to begin with. So having a time in that schedule somewhere where you spend 10, maybe 15 minutes strictly with your child, cell phones off, other distractions away as much as possible, and really just spending time talking and being with your child. This is where it's important to think about trying to avoid questions or instructions and just playing with your child, whether, whatever it may be, whatever their favorite activity might be, to just watch them and be a part of what they're doing. That's really reinforcing to children. So when you fill their cup like that, then they tend to have, a little bit more staying power in their own emotional well-being throughout the day. I think it's also important to have a reset strategy, though, because sometimes things are going to get elevated. You're going to be stressed. They're going to be stressed. Sometimes that academic load is stressful, or, not being able to go out and do things they used to do or see loved ones. So I think it's important to have a reset strategy. So when I think about that, I think about, trying to find the things that work for each person, because not everybody needs the same type of reset strategy. Some people like to shut down, get away from other people. Some people need to get it out of their system, so maybe they need to go outside and run, or do some jumping jacks, or have a quick little dance party in the kitchen. If that's, shake your shakies out and wiggle out your wiggles and get your body moving. Sometimes that's helpful for people to reset and just have a strategy, a time where everyone can reset and calm down, and when things start to get elevated. Sometimes having a visual helps, like a cush ball or a favorite stuffed animal that comes out and is a visual reminder of, okay, teddy bear's out now. It means everyone's going to take 5 and just reset what's happening because everyone's getting too elevated. It's very hard to process language sometimes when people are stressed out, especially little people. So sometimes having a visual helps them go, oh yeah, okay. So I think it's important to talk about that as a family and to model that as a parent or a caregiver, to say, you know what, I'm feeling really overwhelmed right now, and maybe put your hands where you feel overwhelmed. I feel it in my neck. I start to not breathe that well. I hold my breath and okay, I need to take a minute and walk away and model what you're doing and talking about it and showing kids, this is how I'm going to get myself back to a place where I can actually use my whole brain. Because when we get really stressed out and overwhelmed, we go into fight or flight mode, or sometimes we freeze. But when we're aware of that, building this kind of mindful practice of, okay, when I feel like this, that means I need to take a minute, get a glass of water, put myself in the bathroom for 5 minutes by myself, whatever it is that will help you get through that moment. And then you can come back a little bit more prepared to sort out whatever was happening.
Right. And when we talk about, these difficult feelings, can we talk about how parents can have self-compassion at this time?
I'm sorry, I wasn't able to hear what you said.
So you said that having self-compassion at this time for not being able to do it all that's...
Yeah. Be kind to yourself. This is really difficult. Like I said, this is not, this is a lot to try and manage, to having your whole life disrupted by no choice of your own, and lots of expectations then put on you to try and manage it. So I think it's important to, take a mindful approach, figure out, where do you hold your stress? Is it in your chest? Is it in your belly? And think about that and say, that's what mindfulness is to be aware of that and understand that. And then maybe even having, I use every morning just an approach where I wake up each day thinking about what is my intention here? What do I need to do? And often it's just do what's right in front of me, instead of worrying about all the things that are to come. Say, okay, the only thing I can do right now is actually get up out of bed, use the bathroom, and get dressed, and sometimes just doing what's right in front of you can be very comforting. Mm-hmm. I think also having, a mindful approach, where you might say to yourself, okay, this is where I'm stressed and I need to think about, okay, may I be patient? May I be calm, and may I be loving towards my family, and set that intention for yourself. Mm-hmm. So that's really kind of having a mindful approach, when you wake up in the morning, and maybe at night you have a little self-compassion, as you said, being kind and forgiving. I did my best. It wasn't as great as I had hoped, but tomorrow's another day. I can a whole new day to restart and re-engage with my loved ones.
Right. That's great. That's a great suggestion. Do you have anything else you would like parents, families, kids to know before we sign off?
Just to spend time reading together, take this time to really build your connection. This is very, very challenging. You're trying to be, a working parent, a teaching parent. These are really challenging tasks to try to do it all at once. Just not even humanly possible. So take the time to, you're going to have to choose connection at some point. you're going to have to make a choice. So if you can choose connection with your child by reading aloud, doing crafts, and spending time with them, getting outside. I really encourage people to get outside, taking walks together. All those stressors are going to still exist. But again, like I said, if you can do what's right in front of you and what your child's telling you they need right in that moment and be with them, then I think we'll get through this. We'll get through this in that way, just doing what's right in front of you.
Great. Great. Well, thank you. And we're going to share some resources here. There are several local resources and statewide resources. The Windsor area COVID-19 response team is, they have many, many volunteers who are willing to help people, and resources to provide household items, everything from diapers to pet food. So we're going to have the information there for people in the community who might want some help. They are welcome. They're welcome to have it. And also various, there's a warm line where people can call if they just need to talk to someone. There are some counselors available, so we will share that and some other resources too. So help us out.
Despite the distance, there's a lot of care out there. There's a lot of things happening. And so you'll see there's a whole list of resources, just local, regional, statewide. And there's a lot of people out there that are willing to, do what it takes to care for each other. That's the most important thing we can do, is to be looking out for one another. And if you know that there's a family out there, a neighbor who, maybe was stressed prior to this, doing what we can to check in on people and take care of each other. So know that there's care out there, and, we'll get to the other side of this.
Yeah, we will. Well, thank you very much, Courtney.
Thank you for having me. Take care.
You too.